Good morning, students. Let us start the class of Module 3. Before the internal test, we have been discussing about the Bode plot, about the usage of decibels, and I had briefly explained about the RC circuits functionalities or RC circuits effects on the signals. So from now on, we are going slightly deeper into the low frequency analysis as well as the high frequency analysis, and then we will be discussing some selected BJT as well as FET circuits. Whatever I am presenting to you is a handwritten notes, and somehow my scanner did not work well in scanning the complete page, so I had to take a snap of all these and make it as a PDF. In future, if it is possible, I'll get all these notes scanned in some other scanner and I'll make it as a PDF separately so that it will be more clearer there. For the time being, let me use this PDF itself. So let me start the class now. We are going to discuss this low frequency analysis, also called Bode plot. I had briefly discussed about the Bode plot, and let us discuss further now. Out of the external capacitors that are present in the circuit, now it is necessary to find out the particular capacitor that determines the FL. FL means you already remember the frequency response, where we will have a reduced gain at the lower frequency side also, and we will have a reduced gain at the higher frequency side also. So at the lower frequency side, we had a cutoff frequency which we named it as FL, and at the higher frequency we had named it as FH. First, let us see only about FL. Now, there are three capacitors, external capacitors. One is the capacitor at the base, and one is the capacitor at the collector, and one more is the capacitor at the emitter. All these three capacitors have their own purpose in the circuit's functionality, as well as in DC as well as AC analysis. But out of these three capacitors, we already know that the lower frequency response is affected by the reduced gain because of the external capacitors only. Because we know that it is X equals 1 over 2 pi FC. So when F is less, X is very high. Now we have to find out of these three capacitors, which one is predominant. Even though all those three are dominant, out of these three, which one is more dominant or which one is predominant, and based on that, that particular capacitor out of these three is going to decide the lower frequency cutoff value. So for that, we will have to do a little bit of mathematical analysis for the circuitry. So let us proceed with this. For the RC coupled common emitter amplifier, the input has the following network. We have seen this now. It has the following network. You can see this, where input is connected to one DC blocking capacitor C1, and then we have the input impedance of the circuitry. So we can represent it as Vi with the series capacitor and the parallel R, and this V0 is not the V0 which we are talking about at the output of the amplifier. We have simply mentioned this V0 as the output of this RC circuit itself or CR circuit itself. So now, I think you have already studied this RC circuits analysis in the course called network analysis, where the passive devices and their connections as well as combinations have been dealt with in detail. Now, for this particular CR circuitry, let us write an expression for V0. You can see this V0. V0 equals Vi into R divided by R minus JXC. Because we are taking output across R, so naturally it is working like a voltage divider network now. Some voltage will be across C, some voltage will be across R. Please remember, we are discussing the AC signal analysis. As far as DC is concerned, you already know that this capacitance will completely block the DC. But we are discussing the frequency response, assuming that the input is AC or Vi is AC. So even with AC also, this network works like voltage divider network, because the capacitance will have its own reactance. So we can write V naught equals Vi into R by R minus J XC. You already must be knowing why this minus sign comes there, why that J symbol is used there. In fact, to discuss all those things is beyond the scope of this particular course. To discuss all those mathematical things only, we have a separate course called network analysis, where we purely deal with only passive components. Whereas in this particular course called analog electronic circuits, we are dealing with active as well as passive components as their role in the analog circuits as such. So that way, I will not go into much deeper details of these mathematical notations. But I will simply ask you a question now. Those who know, you can put the answer in the chat box. Even by the end of the class also, if you can put the answer, that is fine. So the question which I am going to ask you is, why do we use this J or I in most of our mathematical analysis? Because we know that I is nothing but square root of minus 1. The same is J, which is square root of minus 1. When the square root of minus 1 does not exist, why are we using it in our circuit analysis or in a mathematical analysis? That is my question. That is some mathematical fundamentals. So if you know the answer, you put the answer in the chat box, or if you want to find out the answer, find out the answer, and even in the next class, you tell me the answer. Okay. So let me proceed with our analysis now. V naught equals Vi into R by R minus J XC. So now using this expression, we can write the expression for the magnitude of V naught, that is R into Vi divided by square root of R square plus XC square. These magnitude and phase calculations also you are already familiar with. You have already gone through all of them in the mathematical courses. So V naught equals R into Vi by square root of R square plus XC square. Now when X equals R, we will have V naught equals R into Vi by square root of 2R square, which is nothing but that R gets cancelled, and we will have Vi by root 2. Now this is the magnitude of voltage gain. For V naught by Vi, it implies that it is now 1 over root 2. Earlier also I had told you about that 1 over root 2 in a theoretical sense, where P equals V into I, or P by 2 equals V by root 2 into I by root 2. Now here also, when we apply mathematical analysis, we are getting the same value. So which means the lower frequency cutoff occurs when X equals R. When the reactance of the capacitance meets with the resistance, that is when the lower frequency cutoff occurs. Again, that is obvious. Why? Half of the signal will be across C, half of the signal will be across R, isn't it? So our logic of taking P by 2 is also making sense here. P by 2 equals Vi by 2 is V by root 2 is making sense here. Because naturally, this is a voltage divider network, and the signal will be 50% there, and then when it is there, we are anyhow getting 1 over root 2 there. So V naught by Vi will be 1 over root 2 when FL is occurring, or FL occurs when X equals R. So that is, we can write it as X equals 1 over 2 pi FL into C equals R. When X equals R, we know the formula, X equals 1 over 2 pi FC. So this is going to occur when F equals FL. So X is 1 over 2 pi FLC, which is also equal to R. Let us proceed now. Or using this expression, we can write FL equals 1 by 2 pi RC. Now this is a very standard equation. In many oscillators also, in future, we are going to use this particular equation only. In general, F equals 1 over 2 pi RC is going to be the formula for the output frequency of oscillators in case of RC phase shift oscillators. There the reason is that the oscillations occur when there is least resistance, and least resistance occurs when there is resonance. So this particular formula also corresponds to resonance when X equals R. So for this particular RC circuit, we get FL equals 1 over 2 pi RC. Similarly, in future, we will be seeing the LC circuits along with the oscillators, where the similar type of frequency we will be getting, where instead of RC, we will be using the term LC there. Anyway, that is the topic which we are going to discuss in the next module. So, FL equals 1 over 2 pi RC. Now, this is one very standard expression. Please remember this. Let us proceed now further. Now, we know that AV equals V0 by VI equals R by R minus JXC. Using the same expressions which we had earlier, we can write the voltage gain AV equals V0 by VI, that is R by R minus JXC. This we are writing in general, not exactly during resonance. So, we can rewrite it as 1 by 1 minus J by omega C into R. Okay. So, this R we can bring it down. This becomes 1 and 1. This here it becomes again, we have XC here, and we can bring the R down. We have J by omega C R. We can expand this to show that 1 by 1 minus J into this omega is nothing but 2 pi F. It is the angular frequency. So, we have 1 minus J into 1 by 2 pi F into RC. Now, we already know that 1 over 2 pi RC is nothing but FL, right? That we can substitute here for AV. What do we get now? AV equals 1 by 1 minus J into FL by F. Because we know that 1 by 2 pi RC is nothing but FL, which you are seeing here. So, we can finally write using equation 1, that is equation 1 is FL by 1 by 2 pi RC. FL equals 1 by 2 pi RC. Using that equation, we can write the voltage gain in general is 1 by 1 minus J into FL by F. Now, for this particular equation number 2, we can write it in the magnitude and the phase form, because from any given expression, we know how to write the expression for magnitude and phase. When we write it together, we can write it as AV equals 1 by square root of 1 plus FL by F whole squared, and the angle is tan inverse of FL by F. This expression is the basics of trigonometry and calculus. You have already studied this particular mathematical methodologies. So, we write the voltage gain in terms of magnitude and phase. Now, let us find out when FL equals F, what happens. When F equals FL, because our aim here is to find out the lower cutoff frequency, right? We had written this expression number 2 in general. Now, we want to find out when FL equals F, what happens. So, AV equals 1 by square root of 1 plus 1, that magnitude of the AV we get as 1 over root 2. This we have already got it earlier also, right? I'll just show you here. When, where is that? Here itself. When X equals R, we have V naught equals Vi by root 2. So, that itself is corresponding to voltage gain. So, the same thing we are going to have here. That is when F equals FL, we have the magnitude of the voltage gain is 1 by square root of 1 plus 1, that is 1 over root 2. That is fine. That is when the resonance is occurring. Now, let us perform the analysis when F is less than or equal to FL. I'm just going to show you all of them now. Okay. When F equals FL, we have the voltage gain is 1 over root 2. Let us go down now. F is less than or equal to FL. So, when F equals FL, the voltage gain in decibels is 20 log of 1 over root 2, that is minus 3 dB. I had mentioned about it earlier also. I had asked you to find out the log of 1 over root 2 that corresponds to minus 3 dB. That is the reason when we plot the frequency response, we mark a point in the curve there. From the maximum gain, we come down to 3 dB down and we mark it as FL. So, when F equals FL, voltage gain in decibels is 20 log of 1 over root 2, that is minus 3 dB. Let us go down one step further. When F equals FL by 2, the voltage gain in dB is 20 log of 1 over root 5. You will have to substitute that FL by 2 there in the given expression, the expression which is here up, expression number 3. There you can substitute, and when F equals FL by 2, you will get 20 log of 1 over root 5, that is minus 7 dB. Similarly, when F equals FL by 4, the voltage gain is 20 log of 1 over root 17 equals minus 12 dB. How this 5 comes, how this 17 comes, you can find out on your own by substituting in that equation number 3. Now, when F equals FL by 10, it is the voltage gain in decibels is 20 log of 1 over square root of 101, that is minus 20 dB, which means this FL by 10 corresponds to a decade, FL by 2 corresponds to an octave. Please recall the basics which we had discussed earlier. FL by 2 corresponds to an octave. Any double the frequency or half the frequency is generally an octave, or any 10 times the frequency or 10 times reduced frequency is a decade. So, now here FL by 10, one decade corresponds to minus 20 dB. Now, you please recall, we had seen that for a first order RC circuit or a first order equation, the roll-off factor was minus 20 dB, which we had discussed earlier. Now, how that minus 20 dB is obtained, the proof is in front of you. When F equals FL by 10, we get the voltage gain as minus 20 dB reduced, which means that is when we had mentioned for any first order system or any first order circuit analysis, the roll-off factor of the curve is 20 dB per decade. So, this indicates a reduction of minus 20 dB per decade. Now, using all these values, we can manually plot a graph without actually performing the experiment itself. That is what we are doing now. Without actually performing the experiment itself, we are only mathematically analyzing the circuitry, and using all these minus 3, minus 7, minus 12 and minus 20, we can plot a graph. Now, that plot itself is a Bode plot. We had discussed about the ideal Bode plot and the actual Bode plot, right? Now, this is going to be the ideal Bode plot because it is totally based on the mathematical calculations. So, when this magnitude versus frequency is plotted, the piecewise linear plot of the asymptotes is called a Bode plot. Now, we have a piecewise linear plot. Why we call it as piecewise linear plot? We have taken it as F equals FL, F equals FL by 2, F equals FL by 4, F equals FL by 10. We can go on this way. And for each particular value we have chosen, we have got a particular gain in decibel. We can plot this. Now, these are all the asymptotes which we have obtained. The plot of these asymptotes is now called as a Bode plot. The reduction in AV can also be mentioned as minus 6 dB per octave, because when F equals FL by 8, AV dB is 20 log of 1 over root 65, that is about minus 18 dB. We can see here when I say FL by 2, even though I have written it as 7 dB, only for this particular case I have rounded off the value, I have written as 7 dB. On an average, if we go on FL by 2, FL by 4, FL by 8, that way, we can always see that it is about 6 dB on an average. So, for this first order system, we can say that the reduction in the voltage gain will be 20 dB per decade or 6 dB per octave. So, you can see here for FL by 8, we get minus 18 dB. Whereas for FL by 4, we got minus 12 dB. So, minus 12 minus 18 is around minus 6 dB. Here I had told you I have rounded off to minus 7. Otherwise, it is 6 point something. That way, we can also take it as 6 dB. So, in general, remember this value, that in general, for any first order electronic system, we can mention the roll-off factor is 20 dB per decade or 6 dB per octave. Now, let us perform the phase analysis for the same circuit. When letting f equals fl, we can get theta. Theta is tan inverse of 1 by 1, we get 45 degree. Now f equals fl by 2, theta equals tan inverse 2 is 63 degree. F equals fl by 4, theta equals tan inverse of 4 is 76 degree. Again, how did we get these 2 and 4? You will have to find out on your own by substituting in that particular equation number 3. When f equals fl by 10, theta equals tan inverse of 10, it is 84 degree. When f equals fl by 100, theta equals tan inverse of 100, that is 89 degree. Now, what do you understand by this particular calculation? When f equals fl, we are getting theta equals 45 degree, which means this is a leading curve now. The signal is leading by 45 degree, right? Because we are getting positive values of angles. For gain, we got negative values of angles, which indicated the attenuation or the reduction in gain. Whereas in case of phase, we are getting positive values, means output is leading input by means of these degrees. Now we can have a magnitude plot, we can have a phase plot. Both are Bode plots only. Actually, Bode plot contains both of them. That is magnitude plot also, phase plot also. And we have been finding out this angle without conducting the experiment. Please understand. Only by going through the mathematical analysis itself, we are finding out all these angles. So now, similarly for f equals 2fl, we get theta equals 27 degree. For 4fl, we get 14 degree. For 10fl, we get 6 degree. For 100fl, we get 0.6 degree. Look at this. We have been going down by fl by 2, fl by 4, fl by 10, fl by 100. Now, if we multiply by 2 or 4 or 10 or 100, now the angle is reducing. Means what? At one particular point of frequency, now the phase difference between output and input will not be there. That is what is indicating here, right? The phase angle is reducing when the frequency is increasing, which means beyond a certain value, there will not be any phase difference between input and output. Here you can see when f equals 100 fl, you can see that theta is only 0.6 degree, which can be ignored always. So we can say that in the frequency response, after certain frequencies are crossed, voltage gain also will become uniform and the phase also will not be having any difference. That is the conclusion which you can make. Wherever there is no phase difference and wherever there is uniformity of voltage gain, that particular range is a very safe range of frequencies in which our amplifier can work satisfactorily. In fact, for obtaining that particular frequency range only, we are finding out all these low frequency cutoff values and high frequency cutoff values. We are measuring the voltage gain also, we are measuring the phase difference also. Okay, let me proceed now. Now the plots of this magnitude and phase in the frequency domain are as follows. We can plot them now. You can see this now. We have plotted frequency versus voltage gain and we have plotted frequency versus phase. You can see now from f 10fl, fl by 10. I am showing you only a portion of the curve here because we are interested only in one particular decade now. So from fl by 10 till fl till 10fl, let us plot. You can see that we have got these distinct points which we had obtained earlier. Now these distinct points we can join and we have a straight line now. Let me admit the student who is waiting in the lobby. Okay. Now we have a straight line. Actually, when we earlier had plotted the curve, it was not a straight line. It was basically a curve. Now because it is a ideal Bode plot, which means we have taken a mathematical value and we are plotting it. We are getting a straight line there. Straight line is never possible because we are dealing with non-linear devices. So straight line is never possible. But mathematically we are getting this ideal Bode plot. Now similarly in the phase plot you see, we started from around 89 degree or so and we keep on coming down And you can see at FL, when F equals FL, we have the phase difference is exactly 45 degree. Similarly, when F equals FL, here we have somewhere around minus 6 dB, minus 7 dB. That was the value which we had got. So this particular plot is basically a Bode plot, and you can see that the x-axis is not a uniform scale. X-axis is not a linear scale. X-axis is a semi-log scale. We had already discussed this earlier. You can see all these minor divisions here, and this x-axis is basically a semi-log scale. Otherwise, if you have to plot a linear scale, x-axis will become much lengthier. So this is the magnitude plot and phase plot. Now the phase plot indicates output leads the input when F is less than or equal to FL, and the phase difference reduces when F is much greater than FL. That we have already seen earlier also. In between, if you have any questions, you can always either unmute and ask me, or you can put your question in the chat box. Otherwise, let me continue now. So till now we have seen taking one particular capacitance and resistance network, how can we plot the magnitude as well as phase responses. Now let us deal with the particular BJT amplifier circuit, because our goal is to find out of the three capacitors, which capacitor is going to be dominant for the value of FL. So let us continue now. Let us perform a low frequency response analysis of a BJT amplifier. Let us assume a load resistance also at the output, because anyhow we are going to deal with multi-stage amplifier circuits, and even at the end of the multi-stage also we will have a load that is connected to the output side. So let us assume one RL here. Now first let us consider the capacitance at the base. Here it is called as CS and CC and CE. CS it is called because it is from the source side. That is why the textbook author has used the same symbol. So I am also using the same symbol. Otherwise earlier I have been writing it as CB, thinking that it is connected at the base. Now as our textbook author has used the symbol CS itself, let me follow the same convention. That CS basically corresponds to the source side capacitance. Now considering CS, we can write the voltage at the base as VB equals VI into RI by RI minus J into XCS. Please remember, this RI is the input resistance of the complete amplifier circuitry. We had already performed the AC analysis in the previous module. Now for this particular circuit, Ri is R1 parallel with R2 parallel with beta into small re. Please remember all that. So here Vi into Ri divided by Ri minus J into XCS, the reactance of the capacitance at the input. Therefore, now using this formula, we can write the formula for FLS as 1 over 2 pi Ri into Cs. This we had derived already earlier. FL equals 1 over 2 pi RC we had derived. That R corresponds to Ri, input resistance here, and C corresponds to Cs here. Please remember, the value of this VB is AC. We are not performing DC analysis, we are performing AC analysis. Okay. So where Ri equals R1 parallel with R2 parallel with beta into Re. This we already know. This is considering the capacitance Cs. Now let us consider the capacitance CC, the capacitor at the collector. Now considering CC, the total resistance at output is R0 plus RL. R0 is the output resistance, and we have RL here. You have to visualize always R0 here in series and RL again in connected across the output. So from looking from the output side, we will have these two resistances in series. That is R0 plus RL. Now what is R0? R0 is capital RC in parallel with small r0. That small r0 is the output resistance of the collector base junction, which we already know. We have been using it earlier in our exercises. So this capital R naught is capital RC in parallel with small r naught. So considering this, we can write the circuit in this manner. You can see capital RC, the resistance at the collector, and small r naught, the internal resistance of the collector junction, and then we have this coupling capacitance CC at the output, and then we have this RL. So we can write now FLC with respect to what? With respect to the collector capacitance. FLC equals 1 over 2 pi into R naught plus RL into CC. We have the standard formula F equals 1 over 2 pi RC, right? So that R is substituted with R naught plus RL. R naught is nothing but RC parallel with small r naught into CC. So this is with respect to the collector capacitance. Gradually we will move on to the emitter capacitance. Now considering the emitter capacitance, we can write the equivalent circuit this way. You have this capital RE, the resistance at the emitter. Then you have this CE, which is again connected to ground. But internally you have what? Internally you have R1 parallel to R2 divided by beta plus RE. How did you get this R1 parallel to R2 divided by beta? Because looking from the input side, we have the dynamic resistance at the emitter, and that is, we already have R1 parallel to R2 there at the base, and that is divided by beta from the emitter side. We are actually finding out the resistance at the emitter side. Okay, but at the base side, we already have R1 parallel to R2 along with small re. That small r is the dynamic resistance of the emitter. Now, when we perform AC analysis, we cannot ignore even a very small quantity also. Now, you may think that R1 parallel with R2 divided by beta is going to be a very less quantity. But that way we have seen that even small re is also a very less quantity. That is also 10 ohms or 20 ohms. Now, when we perform AC analysis, we cannot ignore any stray resistance and capacitance. The reason is we want to find out mathematically the exact cutoff frequency at the lower frequency side. So let us not ignore that effective resistance at the emitter also with respect to base. That is what is this. R1 parallel with R2 is already at the base. Now we consider at the emitter side, it is divided by beta. Because we know the ratio between emitter current and base current, we consider it as beta. That is why R1 parallel with R2 divided by beta plus small re is the dynamic resistance of the emitter. Now, the total resistance of the emitter is what? Capital RE equals capital R capital E parallel with whatever is the internal resistance at the emitter. That is R1 parallel with R2 divided by beta plus small re. You will have to remember all these formulae. You will have to write this formula many times and you will have to memorize them. That is the only way, because only when you remember this formulae, only then you will be able to solve the exercises later on. And the exercises in this module are slightly bigger. Why? Because we are going to find out the effective capacitance and resistance values for all the three, considering the input, considering the output, considering the emitter also. So you will have to remember all these formulae. And the only way to remember the formula is to keep on writing them 10 times, 20 times until you are sure that you have remembered the formula. Of course, after the external exam is over, you can forget this formula also. That is fine. But until the external exam, you will have to remember this formula. There is no other choice. So now considering the emitter capacitance, we can write the expression as FLE equals 1 over 2 pi RE into CE. We are writing capital R and small e because now see, we have capital R and capital E. We have small r and small e. Now the notation effectively is capital R and small e because we are left with only that particular combination now. Capital R, capital E is a physical resistance present at the emitter. Small r, small e is the internal resistance of the emitter junction or emitter region. Now, as all these, both these are in parallel, we have no other option than to use a different type of notation. So, the author has used capital R and small e. So, FLE equals 1 over 2 pi into capital R small e into capital C capital E. That is the physical capacitance that is present at the emitter. Now, you can see that we have all these three formulae, FLS, FLC and FLE. And remember this formula, FLS is 1 over 2 pi Ri into Cs, FLC is 1 over 2 pi into R0 plus RL into Cc, whereas FLE is 1 over 2 pi into Re into Ce. Now, using these three, let us try to solve one exercise now. So, I will proceed with the exercise. I don't know whether I will be able to complete it now itself or not. Let me see. Determine the lower cutoff frequencies for the network. Now, there is a circuit given here. This is already a voltage divider bias network circuit with the capacitors connected. Now, this is a amplifier circuit with the load also connected as 2.2 kilo ohms. Okay. Now, checking the condition beta Re must be greater than or equal to 10 or 2. This is the condition for our approximate analysis. So, beta is given 100, capital Re is 2 kilo ohms and R2 is 10 kilo ohms. So, 100 into 2k, whether it is greater than or equal to 10 into 10k, that is met. That means we can find out, we can apply approximate analysis directly. So, I have been telling you, you will have to revise the first module again if you don't recall all these things. Students who have not been seriously studying have to study now seriously. Otherwise, this module will not be understood by you unless you are thorough with the first and second modules. Later on, we will have BJT as well as JFET analysis, which will be difficult for you. So, whenever you find time, you will have to revise the previous two modules. Okay, let me proceed. Applying the approximate analysis, we get VB equals 20 to 10 by 40 plus 10, that we get around 4 volts. So, when we get 4 volts, using that directly we find out small Re. I have directly written that small Re, 26 millivolts divided by IE. IE is nothing but 4 minus 0.7 divided by 2K. VBB minus VBE divided by RE. I have directly applied that, and small Re we got it as 15.76 ohms. Now, we can find out the voltage gain directly for the circuit is minus of RC parallel with R0 divided by small Re. We already know this, right? See, we already have this voltage gain where we have RC parallel with, we already have this load resistance here. So, as far as voltage gain is concerned, these two are in parallel. So, RC parallel with R0. R0 is not given here, but RL is given. Divided by small Re, we get the voltage gain around minus 90. Now, let us proceed finding out FLS. FLS is 1 over 2 pi into Ri into Cs. What is Ri? R1 parallel with R2 parallel with beta into Re. That we have substituted, and the capacitance is given as 10 microfarad. So, 1 over 2 pi Ri into Cs, we get around 12.06 hertz. Okay. Remember this value, FLS we got 12.06 hertz. Now, let us proceed with FLC. FLC is 1 over 2 pi into R0 plus RL into Cc. Here we are adding R0 with RL. Why? When we look from the output side, those two have to be taken in series. So, we are adding that. Anyhow, for this capital R0, the small R0 is not given. We are substituting only the capital RC. So, that is 4K plus 2.2K into 1 microfarad, that is 25.67 hertz. So, you see, corresponding to the input capacitance, we got the cutoff frequency 12.06 hertz. corresponding to the output capacitance, we got the cutoff frequency as 25.67 Hertz. Now, let us proceed with the FLE. Corresponding to the FLE, we got 1 over 2 pi into capital R small e into CE. So that capital R and small e, I have directly computed the value, that is 91.38 ohms. You can verify this later on by substituting the values in the formula which was discussed earlier. So 1 over 2 pi into RECE, we get around 87.08 Hertz. Now which one is dominant out of these three? For input capacitance, we got 12.06 Hertz. For output capacitance, we got 25.67 Hertz. For the emitter capacitance, we got 87.08 Hertz. Which means when you move from 0 in the x-axis all the way, when you move from 0, you will come across FLS first. Then you come across FLC later on. Then you come across FLE later on. Which means here the emitter capacitance is actually dominant. Please remember this concept. We are trying to find out the lower cutoff frequency. The lower cutoff frequency is away from 0, right? Now this 12.06 Hertz is nearer to 0. 25.67 is nearer to 0. 87.08 is away from 0 that way when comparing these three frequencies. So naturally, it is the emitter capacitance, which is this 20 microfarad, that is determining the lower cutoff frequency now. That is why we have to be careful when we choose these capacitance values also. These are not randomly chosen. Just like that, we cannot put 10 microfarad, 1 microfarad, 20 microfarad anywhere. Now, if we don't want this emitter capacitance to be dominant, then we'll have to change its value by again working out all these formulae. So finally, we come to a conclusion. This RE calculation I am showing you, 2K in parallel with, that is R1 parallel with R2 divided by beta, that is in parallel with all that. So capital RE, we get 91.38 ohms, that is what is substituted here. So here CE determines the value of FL, that means the emitter capacitance determines the value of FL. Let me show you the formula for this capital RE once again. See, this capital RE is capital R capital E parallel with R1 parallel with R2 divided by beta plus small re. The same values are substituted here now. Here, they are substituted here. So we get 91.38 ohms, that is substituted here. So now remember, out of all these three values, it is the emitter capacitance which is dominant. When we perform the DC analysis, we simply short circuited it to ground when we perform the DC analysis. But when we perform the low frequency as well as high frequency analysis, we have to take their reactance into consideration. When we take the reactance into consideration, we cannot ignore any small factor that way in the circuit as such. So the conclusion is, out of input, output and emitter capacitances, it is the emitter capacitance or the bypass capacitor which is being dominant. Now if you don't want it to be dominant, you will have to rework with all the values of these capacitors. You can easily, immediately you can find out. Instead of 20 microfarad, if it is made as 1000 microfarad, what will happen now? Instead of 20 microfarad, if that capacitance is 1000 microfarad, automatically this value will come down. When it is coming down, the emitter capacitance is no more going to remain dominant. At that time, we can say the output capacitance is going to be dominant, because the next highest value is 25.67 Hertz. If this 87.0 Hertz is becoming lesser than 25.67 Hertz, by increasing the capacitance value, we can say the output capacitance is dominant. Anyway, out of these three capacitance, one of them is going to decide the lower cutoff frequencies value. Now with this, let me end today's class. See you again in the next class. Until then, take care and bye-bye.